Hey there, grumpy old fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons and Dragons advice video on monster personalities. Before I get into this though, if you enjoy my content, it would really help me out if you could hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share my content on all of your social media platforms, and post a comment or two. Remember, I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. And check me out over on Rumble for my political commentary and weekly current events. If you enjoy a good book, check out my author page on Amazon.com. My pen name is H.L. Anderson, and you can find all of my books there, including the tabletop role-playing game, Outlaw Trails. It is available for purchase now on Amazon. You can get it, and within a couple hours, be playing with your friends and family. I designed it to be as easy as possible, so even if you've never played a tabletop role-playing game before, you should be able to grasp this pretty quickly. The rules are extremely simple. Most of it's a large book, but most of it is information to help you run games, like sample outlaws, other figures you could run into in the Old West, how the Old West functions, because a lot of people don't really know. I tried to be historically accurate, so I added a bunch of that in there. It's just information to help you run the game, as opposed to the rules on how to play. The rules are extremely simple. Yeah. And again, you can find videos about Outlaw Trails on my channel. Just check them out. Hope you get it and hope you have fun playing. All right. Monster personalities. I've been playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons a long time. I've been playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons since 1979. I've been running it since 1979, excuse me. I've run a lot of games and had to play a lot of villains against my players over the years. I always try to give each villain a distinct personality. No two villains are the same. Consequently, I've got about 1,000 different voices running around in my head. Some of them hurt my throat to do, but I still did them because that's what a quality dungeon master does. You become the villain when that villain is there. Each villain has his own distinct personality, motives, agenda, quirks, everything. You got to design, as a dungeon master, it's up to you to design all of that. Adversaries for your player characters are a dime a dozen. Wild animals, common monsters can be trivial villains to run. The villains that are really challenging are the sentient ones. Sentient monsters, even those with low intelligence, are a different breed. Wolves use pack tactics, but orcs can plan. They can use military tactics. People think orcs are stupid. They're not stupid. They just have a different skill set and a different culture. Orcs can execute ambushes, and they are motivated by more than just the next meal. Humanoid villains have a master plan. That plan may be as trivial as a robbery for coinage or as monumental as a coup to oust the king. Monsters on the other, or maybe they want to rule the world. I don't know. Monsters, on the other hand, are a whole other critter. Pardon the pun. Thinking villains have personalities that you need to flesh out for your game. Monsters have personalities that are really necessary. Evil dragons, for example, are supremely confident, arrogant. They look down on everyone and everything else. Generally, it is possible, and that's generally, it is possible that a red dragon, for example, may have had an alignment change, may be meek and helpful. A black dragon may have suffered some kind of a trauma and is instead shy and contrite and scared. You have to be careful working such radical departures into the game, however, because if you do it too often, it can offset the dynamic of your plot. They'll see, if you do it a lot, if you run a string of black dragons that are meek and fearful, and then they happen to cross an actual villainous red dragon in a cave, they may approach him thinking, oh, it's okay. And the next thing you know, they're covered in acid and this thing's eating them. Yeah. You have to be careful working such radical departures into the game because if you do it too often, it can seriously offset the dynamic of your plot. Yes, I repeated that, and there's a reason I did. Okay? I want it to sink in. Good dragons are still technically monsters, and they will be kind and helpful. This does not mean they are pushovers, nor will they acquiesce to any type of demand. In fact, evil characters should probably avoid good dragons. Just on general principles. What I do with sentient monsters is a simple process. First, I decide the motivation of the monster. What does it want or need? If it had been in prison for a long time, it will be hungry. Has it been hiding? Perhaps it needs an enemy dealt with or requires an item to help it defeat said enemy. Has it been polymorphed for a long time, infiltrating a local kingdom? Perhaps there's something it wants or needs in the royal treasury. Perhaps it wants to assume the throne. If it is a good aligned creature, perhaps it has taken a liking to the local orphanages or has fallen in love with the local blah. Insert personage here. Maybe it's looking for the opportune time and place to kill an enemy. The motivation of the creature is important because it will help determine the reactions to the party and to the events surrounding them. Second, I try to determine the monster's personality in general. If the beast is shy or timid, it may avoid battle. If it is mean or vengeful, it may seek out battle. If it is melancholy, it may not notice the player characters. If it is happy-go-lucky, it may initiate friendly contact or even prank the group. In my mind, if a being is exceedingly powerful, it may be difficult to resist the urge to screw with lesser beings, be it good-natured or cruel. Dragons, for example, if they are evil, generally look on humans and other humanoids as insects to be devoured, food. One has to be exceedingly powerful or have some kind of leverage to bargain with one. And I'm not recommending people bargain with them, I'm just saying. The same holds true for devils, demons, daemons, and the like. Third, and we're not talking just dragons, so, there's other large creatures too. Third, what is the monster's plan? One of my favorite lines is from the Cold War drama, The Hunt for Red October, when the naval officer says, "The average Ruskie don't take a dump without a plan." The same is true for the intelligent and powerful beasties. One does not survive in their circles without being a conniving and scheming SOB. Any being of such magnitude who is interacting with living humanoids is either friends with them or is keeping his identity secret for some reason. The plan is the means to achieve that reason. Perhaps the beastie wants to get in good with the king in order to get his ring, which happens to be an artifact or something. The ring cannot be taken and it must be willingly given over. Once the disguised, possibly polymorphed, dragon is BFFs with the king will give his friend the ring. That's the plan. It may take a good bit of manipulation, but it is part of the plan. And again, didn't necessarily have to be a dragon. There's other creatures that do this too. Demons, daemons, devils, powerful wizards, whatever. And powerful wizards can be monsters too. Once the player characters encounter the beastie, these three steps in the process will help you to govern and decide how the reactions go. If the beastie's plan is discovered, the player characters are expendable. If the beastie is powerful enough, and they will make a nice meal. If the plan is still contained within the party of player characters, the beastie has three choices. The first is to kill all of the player characters. Okay, that eliminates any chance of the plan getting out. Dead men tell no tales, The second is to bargain with the player characters to get their aid. Now, this may or may not be possible depending on alignments and motivations. The third is to quit and try again later with a different or modified plan. After all, the player characters won't be around forever and many of these beasties are extremely long-lived. It's up to the dungeon master to decide how the monster reacts. The process I have outlined will help with this, and I suggest that anytime you run a powerful villain against your players, you ask these questions because it will help you in the long run. And I'm not saying you have to play things this way, but I've been doing this a long time. All I'm trying to do is help you make your games better. I've been doing this a long time. I've run countless games, and frankly, the more work you put in, the less you have to ad-lib later, and especially with monsters. And plus, you may be able to work a little plot hook in there too. You never know. Again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or how to play your game, how to run your game. I'm just trying to help you make a better game. Feel free to add, subtract, multiply, or divide, or change, or ignore whatever you want from my advice. I just want you to have more fun. That's the whole point of these games, to have fun. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all.